Yeah, hello. My name is Konstantin. I'm a product manager at JetBrains, and I work for the team that is responsible for developing of several internal and customer-facing services. So we kind of a double-facing team. We have our own backlog of our own ideas and features that we would like to implement for our products, and we also have a bunch of incoming requests from the different teams. So it makes our prioritization process more complicated because we have the ideas from different streams, from different teams, and these ideas, these requests are also of different nature. And as we work more like in a Kanban approach, we need to have a flat list of things prioritized, so we always should know what to take next, what brings the most value to the company. Of course, there are a lot of different prioritization frameworks that you can choose from. Some of them have just fancy abbreviations like Mosow, RICE, ICE, HEART, etc. etc. is not a framework, by the way. Could you please just raise a hand if you use something of it? Okay, yeah, I see. However, we could divide all of these frameworks, all these approaches, into two different main categories. The first one just basically help you shape your own subjective decision. And I guess the best example here is Mosow. So it basically just suggests you to divide all your items in your backlogs in 4 buckets: must have, should have, could have, won't have. However, it doesn't provide you any guidance how you could do that or how you could sort out the issues, for instance, in the must framework, in the must bucket. All other frameworks I could just collectively call weighted scoring models. And their idea is basically the same. They suggest you to use some kind of a function and different criteria that you use to calculate the overall priority score. For instance, ICE suggests you to use impact, confidence, and of course efforts. RICE adds also reach here, and weighted shorted job first. It's really hard to pronounce. Consider you using time criticality and risk reduction. And they just suggest you to set some kind of a number to each of the criteria, and according to this very simple formula, you get your overall priority score calculated. However, it still doesn't fit our goal, because we have, as I said, issues of a different nature. We have some compliance requests. We have some conversion increase, acquisition increase hypotheses from the different product teams. We have some requests for our sales team to help automate their work. We have technical debt items in our backlog that the team is eager to have implemented. So we cannot just put all of them in the simple formula. There is no reach for technical debt issues. And there's more. Actually, not all the items in our backlog are the same. For instance, some of them may have a strict deadline, and we would like to meet this deadline. So we expect this prioritization framework to increase the priority of the feature as we're going closer to this deadline, so we wouldn't miss it. And the other thing, actually, it happens that we may start working on some issue. For instance, we have design ready for some feature, and we need to postpone it because something new, more important, came in our backlog. And this feature on which we already spent some effort could wait in the development queue for some period of time. And when we came back to it, there is a huge chances that it's going to roll, and we need to start all over again. So we also would like our prioritization framework to respect that and to gradually increase the priority of issues that are already in our development pipeline. And that's why we decided to come up with our own prioritization framework. We just distill the basic idea from all other approaches. And this idea is quite very simple. So you just take your value and your effort and get your overall priority score. However, the hardest part here, how you can define value. Actually, if you take a closer look on that, your value is most likely based on the goal that is that the item is targeted to, and the impact of this goal. And not all the goals, of course, are the same. For instance, you may have, I hope you have some company strategy. So you may have the things that you would like to focus, for instance, this year. And we would like our prioritization framework to adjust the overall priority according to our current strategy goal. That's why we would like to have different weights to our goals. So our overall priority score is just a goal weight of the item that we're currently assessing, and impact on this goal. Of course, with the effort as the denomination. Impact, it's also a hard thing to assess. And of course, for start, you can use the same approach as, for instance, for eyes or eyes. You can just subjectively decide this is very important, I set 8 for it. Or this is not important, I set 5 for it. But it's just more or less a matter of a guessing. However, there is a better approach. If you have a goal structure, you may define a metrics for each goals. And these metrics will be different for each specific goal. For instance, for a goal that it's targeted to customer acquisition, of course, you could add reach there. For technical depth, it could be a different thing. So you could, for instance, consider the number of affected components or the subjective severity of this technical depth item by the technical team. So if you start to assess these metrics, in some time you will get some historical data and you could define some ranges for each metrics. So then you could set this low, medium, high impact, not just purely subjectively, but according to some estimation and where this estimation in your already defined ranges fits. So this is like a step toward that at least informed approach. And as I said previously, not all backlog items are the same. Actually, Kanban defines 4 different types of services for backlog items, class of services. And for us, the most important one, as I said, is the fixed date. So we would like to meet our deadlines. That's why we adjusted our prioritization formula to have a combination of the importance score and also something that we called urgency score. And urgency score is either a deadline score, if the issue has a deadline, or age of work in progress, if we already started to work on it. Regarding deadline score, so we would like our formula to gradually increase the overall priority of the issue as we come closer to the deadline. And we want the overall priority to be at the highest maximum level at the time we need to start working on the issue to meet the deadline. Also, we could tweak the curve of this graph, yeah? How rapidly it increases the priority. It's actually defined by the planning depth in your company. So for instance, if you have like quarter plans, it's better to have the issue that has a deadline in the next quarter to have maximum priority this quarter. Otherwise, you could miss it on the planning session. And also, if the cycle time of your issue is also high, it's better to have the priority score high way before the actual due date. For that, you need to take your actual implementation time into account for your formula. So you need to gather stats. We use UTAG, so it's very easy to accumulate all the data according to all your features from that. We use very basic, simple T-chart effort sizing. So we use XS, S, M, and L for all our issues. And we just, after a year and a half, obtain amount of historical data to understand how, in general, long it takes to implement issue of different sizes. And we use 75 percentile in our formula. It means that we take implementation time and put it in our formula that fits 75% of all issues of the same effort size. So what we took into account: goal of the issue, and of course goal weight, impact on that goal, efforts for implementation of that issue, and due date if there is any due date for the issue. But it's not enough. So we decided to fine-tune our formula. Because, for instance, if you take efforts just denominator, so for instance as for ice or ice, you will get a very rapid decrease in priority as the efforts increases. We didn't like that because we have a lot of important features and we don't want them to prioritize so much if they have more efforts required. So we changed this basic denomination formula to some logistic function, so it decreases the priority less steep. The same thing for, as I said, issues that we already started to work on. So we would like to have their priority gradually increase as it waits in development pipeline, and if it already reaches some stage, for instance, we already made a design, we already start to coding it. It was coded, but we're waiting for testing. We would like to have this priority increase a little bit higher. But still, we don't want this part of the formula to overcome the due date score. So the due date score will always be higher than age of work in progress score. And what we get in the result. I know, yeah. I know it's quite frightful, but actually this is the same formula that I showed several slides before. This is the same combination of impact and urgency, but with several tweaks, with changing of functions, with adding some logistic functions to it, you get some kind of that. However, yeah, I hope you wouldn't try to manually calculate the priority score according to this formula, but you can try to. It's better to have some tool to support you. For start, you can use just a spreadsheet. So you could input this formula to a spreadsheet and manually copy and paste the issue links from your issue tracker. It's better to have some kind of automation here, at least some simple script or some tool like Zapier that could help you synchronize your spreadsheet with issue tickets. There's a couple of external services that could help you to do that, but it's still better that your backlog tracker, issue tracker supports that. We used one of the best in the kind. We used UTrack by JetBrains. So we could define several workflows very easily to support this formula. So what we require from the team is just to set several basic fields, and the priority score will be calculated automatically. So to wrap up, what you need to do to create your prioritization framework. First, start with a simple formula, and this is actually the foundation of everything that I have been told before. So use your goal weight, use your impact, use your efforts, and consider deadline, if any. Define goals and their weights, and this is very important to align your goals, your formula with your current company strategy, so we need to assess it from time to time. Estimate impact. Set actual due dates. I mean, really actual. So it shouldn't be like the time that you would like to have it implemented. Because with this formula, due dates actually hugely affect the overall priority. So it should be strict deadlines. And estimate efforts. And I guess the most important part, calculate priority score, get your overall backlog sorted, and adjust the function. And this is how we get from this very basic, simple formula to this one frightful that I just shown you. So you need to adjust the formula from time to time. You need to observe the overall sorted backlog and decide either you agree with that or accept with this prioritization, or you would like to change something. Because basically, the main idea of this framework is just to somehow digitalize, somehow calculate your overall subjective decisions, because prioritization is always a subjective, human-based thing, because it's based on the strategy, it's based on the goal, and only us people could define these goals. So the main idea here of this prioritization framework is just to support you, to make the discussion about the priority more focused, to focus on this specific part of your formula, to discuss impacts, to discuss efforts, but not to define either this or that is more important. So the basic idea that all of your stakeholders, all of your team agrees with how the overall backlog is sorted. If it's so, that you are succeeded, that you don't need to tweak your formula anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I haven't seen so much math in ages. I think you answered for the first question, but I will still repeat it. Maybe you will add something. Why would you need your own framework?
Yeah, so I spent some time just trying to answer that. So because we target to different goals. So we don't work only on growth. So we don't consider only acquisition or conversion as our main targets. So we have a backlog that consists of items of different kinds that target different goals. So that's why we need to have more complex formula to try to weight all of them together.
Mm-hmm. The next question, how often do you override the numbers and choose element with the low score?
I remember like 6 or 7 tweaks. So we change it from time to time. And it's quite fun because, you come up with a team, you get the priorities and they say, hey, I don't like that. Why this is so low in terms of priority? And we start discussing several details and I say, hey, we could choose coefficient for these logistic formulas to have it more busted, and everyone was agree with that. So we change it and we observe it once again and we start to like it.
I love the next question. And I lost it. How do you deal with the situation when a VIP comes and say, my task has the highest priority?
Yeah, it happens. I missed this part, but actually we still have like a specific toggle in our issues. It's called severity. So if we understand this is something important, very critical, for instance, I don't like this VIP kind of example, but let's say security team comes and say, hey, we have a critical bug in the production. Please fix it ASAP, like right now. So we have the specific toggle, and if you set critical to this toggle, the issue gets the maximum priority right away.
Okay. So the last one, the metric seems to be very sensitive to changes in the data set. How often do you review priorities in order to cope with automated data updates?
Unfortunately, there is no automated data updates, but yeah, we have some. We're moving towards like quarter reassessing of our goals, OKRs, and everything. So we adjust it from like several times a year, let's say.
There is still plenty of very interesting questions in a loop, but we are slightly running out of the time. So thank you very much, Konstantin. And guys, grab Konstantin and do the math after the talk and during the coffee break. Thank you. Thank you very much.